Welcome back to Edulexis. Today, on day 45, we are mastering an essential programming skill, working with text files in Python. Until now, every time you ran your code, the data disappeared as soon as the program stopped. Today, you will learn how to save your data permanently onto your computer's hard drive using text files. We will learn how to open files, read information from them, and write new data into them. This is incredibly useful for saving user accounts, logs, or application settings. Don't worry if you are a complete beginner, we will break this down step by step with zero complex jargon. Let's open our code editor and get started immediately. To work with any file in Python, the very first step is to open it. Python gives us a built-in function called open. The open function takes two main arguments inside its parentheses. First, we provide the name of the file as a text string. Second, we choose a mode string. The mode tells Python exactly what we plan to do with the file. We use ars when we only want to read data from an existing file. We use w when we want to write new data or replace old data. And we use a to append, which means adding new data to the very end of the file without deleting anything. Let's see this in action. Let us write our first line of file code. We will create a variable named f, which will hold our file object. Type f equals open students.txt w. Here is a fantastic feature of Python. If the file named students.txt does not exist yet on your computer, using the w mode tells Python to automatically create a brand new, empty file with that exact name in your current folder. Let's run this code right now. Look closely at the File Explorer sidebar on the left. As soon as the script runs, a blank file named students.txt appears out of nowhere. Python successfully built the file for us. Now that our file object is ready and open in write mode, how do we actually put text inside it? We use the .write method attached to our file variable. Type f.write Alice, and on the next line type f.write Bob. Pay close attention to the backward slash and letter n at the end of each name. This represents the new line character in Python. It acts just like pressing the enter key on your keyboard. It forces any text that comes after it to start on a brand new line. If you forget to add this character, Python will group all your words together on a single line, making it look messy. After you finish writing data to a file, there is one absolutely mandatory rule you must always follow. You must close the file. We do this by typing f.close. Why is this so critical? When your program writes text, Python saves it in a temporary memory buffer first. Closing the file forces Python to save everything safely onto your hard disk. It also tells your operating system that your program is done using the file, freeing up system resources. If you forget to close it, your file can become corrupted, or other programs won't be able to access it. Always pair and open with a close. Let's verify that our code actually worked. I am going to click directly on the students.txt file in our sidebar to open it up inside the text editor. Perfect. As you can see clearly on the screen, the file contains the name Alice on line 1 and the name Bob on line 2. Our Python program successfully modified files on our computer system permanently. You can even close versus code completely, restart your computer, and these names will still be safely preserved inside that text document. Now that we know how to write data, let's learn how to read this data back into Python. To read an existing text file, we must open it using the read mode, which is represented by the character r. Let's write the code f equals open students.txt r. A very crucial note for beginners: if you try to open a file in read mode that does not exist on your computer, Python will immediately stop running and throw a clear file not found error. Unlike the write mode, read mode will never create a new file automatically. It only opens files that are already there. Since we already created students.txt in our last step, this line will execute perfectly without any errors. Now let's extract the text content from our file object. Python provides a very straightforward method called .read. This method reads the entire text file from start to finish and saves it as one large string variable. Let's create a variable named content equals f.read. Next, we will display it on our screen using our classic print function, print content, and then we finalize by closing the file using f.close. Let's run the program. Look at the terminal window at the bottom. It prints out Alice and Bob exactly as they look inside the text file. Now, let's discuss a massive warning that every beginner must remember about the write mode. The W mode is destructive. Every single time you open an existing file with Python completely wipes out everything currently inside that file and starts fresh. Let's prove this. I will change my code to open students.txt in write mode and write just one single name, Charlie. Let's run it. Now, let's open students.txt to see what happened. Look at that. Alice and Bob have completely disappeared. Only Charlie remains. Be exceptionally careful when using write mode so you don't delete data by accident. So, how do we add new text to a file without erasing what is already inside? The answer is the append mode, represented by the letter A. Append means to attach something to the end. Let's update our code to f equals open students.txt A. Next, let's write a new name by typing f.write David and close the file. Let's run the script. Now let's jump back into our students.txt file to view the updated contents. Outstanding! Charlie is still safely at the top on line 1, and our new name David was added directly below him on line 2. Manually opening and closing files works fine, but human error means developers often forget to call the close function. To solve this, Python introduced a clean, modern, and professional way to handle files using the with keyword. Let's write it together. Type open students.txt R as F, followed by a colon. Notice that the lines of code underneath this statement must be indented by 4 spaces. This indentation creates a localized block. The magical feature here is that as soon as Python finishes running the code inside this indented block, it automatically closes the file for you behind the scenes. Let's verify that the with statement actually performs this automatic file closure. We will write our block to read the file data, and then we will step outside the indentation block to write a standard print statement. We will print the status by checking f.closed, which is a built-in true or false flag that tells us if a file is shut. Let's execute the program. Look at our output terminal. It explicitly prints out is file closed? True. This confirms that we no longer need to remember to write f.close. The with statement handles it securely, making your code cleaner and fully error-proof. What if your text file is massive, containing thousands of individual lines? Reading the whole file at once using read can overload your computer's active memory. The optimized way to process large text files is by using a standard for loop to read the file line by line. Let's write the code with open students.txt R as F, and inside the block, write for line in F, followed by print student name line. When you loop directly over a file object, Python is smart enough to fetch only one single line at a time. Let's run this code and check the terminal. If you look closely at our terminal output, you will notice an empty blank line printed between each student's name. Why is that happening? Remember that each line in our text file ends with an invisible new line character. Additionally, Python's built-in print function automatically adds its own new line every time it executes. To clean up this double spacing, we can use a built-in string helper method called .strip. Let's update our loop line to print line.strip. Strip method completely removes all trailing whitespace and newlines from the text. Running it again shows clean, single-spaced lines. Let's summarize what we mastered on day 45 of our Edulexis course. You learned how to safely connect Python to your hard drive using the open function. You discovered that write mode overwrites data, append mode preserves data, and read mode loads data. Finally, you learn to use the modern with block to safely auto-close files. Your practical challenge for today is to create a text file named tasks.txt, write 3 daily chores into it, and then use a line loop to print them out formatted cleanly. Practice this right now to lock in the knowledge. Like, subscribe, and I will see you all in day 46.
Thank you for watching. Like if you learned something, share with your circle, and subscribe for more.